Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. Let's just unpack this question today. So I'm going to read the question. I want to own a home. I'm a first-time buyer, and I'm kind of priced out of the market if we're talking regular single-family residential homes. What other options are there besides just a single-family home? So today we're going to talk about some other options that you could choose to buy besides just a regular home, and some reasons people like to buy these types of real estate and whatever else comes up about them. You know, maybe we'll even throw in there what we have in our area or what we usually see in our area, at least as far as these different types of housing goes. But I hope that by the end of today's episode, you have a little bit more clarity about what is out there and maybe what option might be best for you if you're listening and you're priced out of the market when it comes to regular residential homes, because there's more options.
There's a lot going on too. I mean, in this real estate world, and this is a common question. I was just dealing with a client. They're out of Texas. They have a daughter and in the Portland area. She goes to college and she's currently renting. She works more than part-time, I'm told. So she's going to be in the area, the Portland, Beaverton area, for quite some time, over the next 5 to 8 years, so I'm told. And they're just sick of renting. They're just done. They just feel like that.
Have they been renting this whole time?
They've been renting this whole time, and this is for their daughter.
Okay.
And they feel like the daughter can rent something back to them and have roommates.
I see that a lot,
take care of the mortgage, take care of the costs.
Yeah.
And they're investing in something. And I really like their mindset and their outlook on that. And not everybody is like that. And not everybody has parents like that, though, by the way, that live in Texas and that are willing to take on some type of burden, some type of load, purchasing a home and renting it out, you know, for their daughter. But they asked me this question, the same exact question we're going over today is, man, how are young kids doing it? Like, you don't, maybe you're 40, 50, 60-year-old and you're doing it. But this comment I got yesterday was, how are these young kids doing it? You know, and it's because house prices are so high. I mean, Portland, it's $480,000, $500,000 for what we're looking for, a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home for a pair of our clients. Beaverton, Lake Oswego, Oregon City. I mean, those are, it's just so high.
What are you seeing?
I mean,
just to give example.
Well, they're on market. They get off market pretty quick, by the way, and the lots are pretty small. Location's not that great, and we're dealing with a ton of just old construction homes. We're talking like 1930s, 1960s, 1940s. I've been even in 1900, a home built in the 1900.
Wow.
And, you know,
fun.
They're great homes. Don't get me wrong. It's a roof over your head. But the affordability side of what some people are coming from and now moving into, they're just not comfortable with it. And if you're a first-time home buyer, you're asking yourself, man, interest rates are at 6% right now. How do I come up with the funds for the down payment? How am I doing this? You know, so these are real questions that people have. And I think we should have a real perspective, though, of how we can help you get where you need to be and want to be. And that's why we are the real estate professionals. It's what we're doing. That's what we want to do to help you.
Yeah.
And so sometimes there's sacrifices involved with that. And I'm sure Mariah's going to talk to you about that.
Yeah. So I do have a whole list of places or options. So this first one is, I feel like it's not that talked about. It's a zero lot line home. So I just found zero lot line home, or we closed a month or two ago, on a zero lot line home for a really sweet client who was moving here from another state. And this client, so we were looking, it was, I believe, I want to say $300,000 for this zero lot line home.
Very affordable.
And everything else we were looking at, what was the square footage? You were inside. What would you just
It was like 1,100.
Guess? About 1,100 square feet, and it did have a yard.
I thought it had great size.
And I'm just saying, anything in our area, 1,100 square feet with a yard that wasn't a zero lot line home, regular residential home, is going to cost more than that. So she was able to get more square footage, and just more for her money. Great convenient location where she wouldn't have been able to. So the sacrifice on her part, if you will, is the fact that there's a shared wall. However, so that's what the zero lot line home basically means. But for her instance, this zero lot line home, and this is the same with a lot of them, the situation is where the shared wall is the garage wall. So you really don't have, like, you don't really hear, like, a lot of people, the reason they don't want that is because, like, it's basically like you're living in an apartment because you're attached. But the shared wall, from what I've heard, at least, I'm sure there's circumstances where it is a big deal, where it really isn't that big of a deal. I know even for us, Another example of a zero lot line home. So this wasn't a townhouse. It wasn't a condo. It was just a zero lot line home, and it didn't have an HOA fee, nothing like that. Just a home.
Just
that
nice.
happened to have a shared wall, and there was a yard.
Affordable.
That was good, and it was more affordable. So that was great. But I know for us, we've lived in a townhouse, which is technically another form of a zero lot line home, but it's a little different because with a townhouse, you own the home, but you don't technically own the land. It's kind of weird. So you do pay an HOA fee.
And taxes, property taxes.
Yes. So you do pay an HOA fee, but you also pay property taxes, but you don't do the exterior maintenance. So say like the siding goes out, you don't pay for the siding. So like that's cool. Siding's expensive.
Say you want to make an alteration to your yard. You got to go through your HOA and abide by the CC&Rs.
If you even have a yard.
Sometimes they can decline or accept them.
Right.
Odds are they decline them because they want everything to look universal. So that's partly why I'm paying property taxes, but I still can't do what I want with my land.
Right. But you have the pro of the turnkey. You don't have to replace the roof in 5 years. Like, that's amazing. You're paying the HOA fee, but it kind of like the way I see it is it goes towards that like roof fund, whatever.
Well, there's some stages of life. I mean, a lot of these homes that I'm seeing, especially that are lower priced, there's reasonings why maybe they're lower priced. And sometimes it's location, but oftentimes right now, condition.
Right.
And that's one of those rules in real estate. You can't really get by condition. If you see the price, it's like,
there's something wrong.
There's something going on here. Let's make sure we're doing more due diligence in our inspection period.
Right.
And that's usually the key, though. There's replacements involved with that.
Right.
And that's something I do like about an HOA, especially being a first-time home buyer. You're not dealing with maintenance.
But I was going somewhere with that. Okay. I lost track. But anyway, no, it was good. So what I was going with that was we were talking about shared walls. Because I know I get a comment a lot about people like buyers saying like I never want to own a home with an attached wall or a townhome or anything like that because I don't want to hear the neighbors. But townhomes usually have firewalls, which I know ours did. So although we had an attached wall, we lived there for a couple years, I think, and never once heard the people right next door on the other side of the wall. We would blast our music as loud as late as we wanted. Never was a problem because of that great firewall. You know, there's also fire sprinklers. That's another complaint I've heard people say, like, I'd be too scared to live in a townhouse because what if the one next door catches on fire and then I'm on the third floor and I'm stuck? And like, I totally get that because it sounds really scary, but that is another thing about townhomes. One, there's firewalls, so it is harder for the fires to pass from townhome to townhome. But also, there's fire sprinklers. So if you're on the third floor, you're actually safer than like a regular home that sits on fire that doesn't have fire sprinklers. Those things save lives.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
having sprinklers in a home, I've never.
And they don't just go off. I was worried when we first moved in. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to set these off all the time from like leaving something on the stove and forgetting about it. But they don't set off from like smoke. They only set off through heat. So it's really only if there's actually a fire.
Absolutely.
I was concerned about that. So, okay.
So zero lot line home.
Zero lot line home.
Good
option. The actual definition, this is where one home or building has at least one wall placed on the boundary line of the property, leaving virtually no room between the building and the boundary line. These homes are also an appealing alternative to condos because they offer more privacy and greater independence while still being lower maintenance. Okay, so next is, we already talked about townhomes, condos. So in our area, you can find we kind of have a variety when it comes to condos. You could find a older, like 1970s built condo that's going to be pretty small and affordable. Great option if you just like don't have the money to buy a regular residential home, but you're like, I'm sick of renting. I want to be paying myself instead of my landlord. One of those condos would be a great option. I've showed some not too long ago in Salem that were the 1970s built, like older, small, really affordable. But the person that lived there, they didn't even do a lot to it. They just did some old, like, what's it called? Put some paint on the pig. Like they painted the walls. Yeah. They did very minor things. And then they decorated it really, really cute. And it was adorable. Like it was totally awesome. So yeah, that's one option. And then we also have condos that are $900,000 condos here.
I just looked up condos around us because we are geared more towards a first-time home buyer. In today's show, we're just someone that's trying to have affordable housing. There's 11 condos available, a 30-minute radius from Mariah and I right now.
That's amazing.
So that's really good. And this is $300,000 or less. and there's 11 to choose from. I haven't gone into specifics whether they're 55 and older. Most of them look to be all age areas and communities. The only thing we do have to consider are HOA fees when you are dealing with condo living. And sometimes these HOAs are a good thing because it's only going to protect you and your home's value.
Yeah.
And
totally. And another thing about condo HOAs, from what I've seen, of course, this is always like circumstantial, but from what I've seen is condo HOA fees are generally going to cost more than townhome HOA fees. Yeah. Generally, they're going to be a little more. Yeah. Okay, so next on our list, you could buy a duplex. And here we are. You might be thinking, I'm listening to this because I want something affordable. Duplexes aren't usually that affordable, or triplex. You can buy triplex too. It's 3 units. Well, we have seen families purchase duplexes together and live, one family lives in one side, the other lives in the other, and then they split the cost and they get to live by each other, and it's not that expensive. We've also seen home buyers, I love this one, buy a duplex, live in one side, rent the other side out, and the rent is basically enough to cover their mortgage, and they're living for free, if you will. Of course, it's not free, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So there's just options. It could be a great option. And I'm pretty sure you can use an FHA loan, right?
Yeah.
If it's up to 2
I've bought
an
FHA duplex before. And my last transaction was in Dallas, Oregon when purchasing a duplex. And it was so cool because it was a tenant-occupied duplex on both sides. The seller decided to sell her home, and then she bought this duplex with the funds and the proceeds.
Nice.
And the whole point was she wanted to be closer to her mom. And her mom's getting older in age. The mom's living alone on one unit, and she's going to live with her and her family on the other side. And that was one of those really cool things because we got to see combined income, so that alleviated risk or concerns with making your payment because now we got 2 household families on one mortgage basically. And then you're getting closer to your family, and that was something that was a really cool thing to see because she was concerned about her mom health-wise. She wanted to make sure she was there with her, and that's ultimately what I love to see when people are purchasing real estate. Not only that, she made a really good investment because she can get around and sell it right now for 16-20% more than what she bought it for just here lately. So
that's amazing.
She got a rocking deal on it.
That's amazing. I think it's a great plan to buy a duplex as a first-time buyer and rent one side out and then live there for however long, and while you save, and then buy the next house and keep it, and you have an investment. Like, I think that's such a great way to go. Super smart. So the next option as far as real estate goes. So I love this option. I was just talking about this because you could find one of these. You could find a newer one, or even brand new maybe, that's 1,700, 1,800, 1,900 square feet. And it's going to be gorgeous on the inside. You don't even feel I'm talking about a manufactured home in a park. So you could find a beautiful manufactured home that's great square footage, 4 bedrooms, and has a yard even in a park. Of course, you're paying the space rent because you own the home and not the land. But for prices that you could never pay for a home, right, that square footage, I mean, we're talking, I don't know, I'm going to say, let's just say $100,000. You could buy a manufactured home in a park for $100,000, and you're going to be paying the space rent. Let's just say the space rent is $700, $800 a month.
$600-800.
$600, $800, $900, somewhere around there. $800 a month, let's just say.
800 is wide here, but yeah.
Yeah. So let's just say that's about what you're paying a month, though, for your space rent. But you bought that home, you own it. Now you have an asset. You can turn around and sell when you're ready to sell it. And you're going to be paying, I mean, obviously there's nothing for $100,000, but even for like a 1,900 square foot newer home, you're going to be paying $500,000+, probably a lot more than that. So you know what I mean? Like, it's just a great way if you want to find something nicer, newer, more square footage, but you don't have the money to pay for that, then that's a great option, I think.
Yeah, and I just pulled up, because I really do like this option too, because a lot of people come to me when it comes to buying real estate, they say space. I need space. I need my own space. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so condos out, townhomes out, residential living, we just don't have the budget for it, unfortunately. Yeah. So what is our next step to get you out of that rental agreement, or get you out of that 2-bedroom apartment you're on top of other people with? Yeah. And this is a really good option. I mean, for $100,000, I have two units available, 3-bed, 2-bath, and they're over 1,500 square feet. that's really, really good. So if you're a family, you have 2 kids, single mom, even 3 kids, whatever, I mean, you have the space to do. And what I'm liking about the parks that I'm seeing, they're only $600 space rents. You know,
Nice.
that's really, really good. And these aren't all age parks.
And a lot of times that space rent does include, not always, but sometimes it includes water, sewer, garbage, maybe all of them. So that is nice.
Now, I mean, that is a monthly fee that doesn't go away. But remember, you are paying into home ownership. The unit on top of the land is home ownership. So you're able to resell it if things just aren't working out for you here in 2-3 years from now.
Oh.
You know, there's the cool part.
So another thing that I've heard a lot throughout my years as a real estate agent from the time I got into the business was manufactured homes don't appreciate. They're not like regular homes.
Yeah.
I can say from personal experience, I've sold many manufactured homes in my lifetime. Many. Like, I can't even tell you a number. I've sold many of them because that's really how I got my start in real estate, was manufactured homes in parks. And let me tell you, they do appreciate. I think it has a lot more to do with the market, if anything, but it's wild. The price that I see my home sellers bought their manufactured home for, and then the price that they're selling it for, it's insane. They do appreciate. I'm just saying that's a lie. I don't believe that.
What always gets me is when we're doing these, when I'm doing these listing appointments on these 1970s manufactured homes, and they're like tin. Everything's metal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, metal siding, metal this, and the metal window frames. Nothing's been touched on it. Still has the original like wood paneling and stuff. And obviously this home's like paid off, you know, like it's been paid off for so many years. And the sellers are like, yeah, I think 40 grand, 50 grand would be great. And I'm like, do you realize this home we could sell for probably like 60, 70 maybe, based off the park we're in? Every park's different. And their jaws just drop, you know, because
it's wild.
It is an old saying, though. Manufactured homes, don't buy one. They only depreciate. Oh, you're only going to spend money in fixing them.
I've never seen one depreciate, and I've been in real estate for 8 years now. I know the market's gone. I'm sure it's happened.
There's
and I'm
stories.
sure, like I said, I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that we're so low on inventory, and we have been the whole time I've been in the real estate, but it's like,
well,
I don't know.
We get into this affordable housing topic, and manufactured homes are really one to consider because we're not paying $400,000+ for a roof over our head.
Yeah,
I just shared with you. I found 2 of them for $100,000 here locally. The only thing we got to get you through is that pre-approval process, just like we would if we were purchasing that $400,000 house. And I can use my secondary lenders as well if the first one doesn't work out. So there's always things that we can do to problem solve to get you where you need to be, and that's through the experienced brokers here. You know, we deal with those type of sales quite a bit, so we have quite a bit of knowledge as well, just to guide you where you need to be.
This next one that I don't even really want to mention it, but I will. Manufactured home on its own land.
Well, yeah, but
do you know why I don't want to mention it?
They're so expensive.
Because they're so expensive. Everyone thinks they can get a deal. They're so, and then the main thing is, the reason I don't want to mention it is because it seems like every home buyer wants this, but they're so hard to find. Like, there's just not a lot of them. I don't know. They don't have a high turnover rate. And it's just difficult to find. And then there's the people that want to buy a piece of land and put a manufactured home on it because they want to save money.
Yeah.
And
my buddy just did it, but it's taken him years to do it now.
But there's just a lot more, I think, that goes into it that buyers don't really understand. I think there is a lot more fees. It looks like, oh yeah, just buy the land and then buy the manufactured home. But there's a lot more fees that go into it versus
money
what you think
that goes into it.
You might be better off just buying a home. Like if your goal is to save money. Now, obviously, like, people do it and it can work out. We've had clients do it, but just really know what you're doing. Look into it.
This is throughout the surrounding area. Manufactured homes on bare land under $400,000 was my mark. There's 21 units available, but this is going all the way to the Gresham area, to Eugene, to the coast.
And a lot of them aren't financeable.
And a lot of them aren't financeable.
So you can't even buy them unless with cash.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that look like that aren't even financeable. They're straight cash only.
Yeah.
And that's all the way up to $245,000.
Yeah.
And you know, all these units, is there anything? There's one over 1,500 square feet.
in Sweet Home?
No, that's Corvallis.
In Corvallis.
And it's built in 2000, the year 2000. So that's one struggle you will run into is the condition of these homes on the bare land. Ultimately, sometimes the land is worth more than the home. And sellers just think if there's a home on it, it's got sewer, it's got electric, it's got water. Okay, now it's a gold mine. But sometimes these do end up sitting. We can find you a good deal on them eventually if sellers are workable. But ultimately, all we can do is ask, and they could say no or yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this last one I had written down, unless there's any that you have to add. This is mainly just like in our area, what we work with. Well, I've never worked with one of these, but this is a floating home.
I've never worked with one either.
There's actually quite a few of these in the Portland area on the Willamette River, so I had to throw that in there.
That's where I was going to say they'd be. Yeah.
Yes. So we can sell them with our license, but not a lot of buyers are. There's just not a huge market for them. It's more of a niche type of thing. But I just thought it was. If you haven't seen them, Google it. Look them up. They're pretty cool. It's pretty interesting because they're literally on the water. They almost look like houseboats, but it's like a full-on house. So it's pretty cool.
That actually is really cool.
It's kind of cool.
What the home insurance costs on it.
Yeah, I don't really want to know.
It's probably crazy.
Yeah.
But no, you got to explore all your options. Sometimes there's good. Sometimes there's a great idea, and then you look into it. Oh man, that's more of a bad idea.
Yeah.
But ultimately, out of today, you got to do what's best for you, though. And with this swing and the transition in the real estate market, it's been rather fun to see because we've been in it, we've been living it, we digest it, we see what most people are going through emotionally and just with their finances. And so our goal is just to want to help you get where you need to be. And if anything we said today sounds like, hey, I need to ask more about that, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is below, and we want to help you get where you need to be. Whether you're a first time, a second time, a fifth time home buyer, this is what we do. We work all the way from manufactured homes to $1 million listings.
Yeah. And before we end it, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about buying or selling real estate in Salem, Oregon, or anywhere in the surrounding areas, we would love to work with you. If you do not have a realtor already, feel free to reach out anytime. And if you do already have if you do want to buy or sell real estate, but you don't live in our area, contact us as well. And we can set you up with a solid realtor wherever you're at. Don't just trust the first realtor you see on Zillow. You could be wasting a lot of time and money. Let us help you, and we'll see you guys next time.